What do, people? Geordie, stop messaging me. um, yeah, game week 13 done. And we're going to do a quick review and preview because the games start tomorrow. This is where you will find some people forget to do their teams. But however, teams aren't as affected in Supercoach as opposed to FPL. So it's not going to be too much of a loss if you do not do your team. And considering most people will captain Haaland or vice captain Haaland, I don't think you're going to miss out on too much. So the review part, let's get into it. My staff, I've had 3 good weeks in a row. Proud of the efforts that we're putting in. The boys dug in deep. They smashed it and they've, just turned up week in, week out. And full credit to the boys, no, Uh, could have done better this week, but however, I had a great week. So I'm not going to complain. Just watching like Man City's game, that was a bit of a pain in the bum. I looked like I was going to absolutely take out like 80 plus points from that game. Vardiol scored a goal, but he could have had another two. He should have had at least those other two on target. Um, we changed with Turkey because obviously Turkey didn't start. I did mention it, I think, in the last video on the YouTube, in the comments, because if you're not in the Discord, you won't know the movements. And the big movements are made, right before kickoff. And we found out Turkey wasn't playing. However, if you did bring in Turkey, he did come on for 15 minutes and still grab an assist because the guy is good. He's just the minutes were the worry. We brought in Foden instead. Foden killed it. And, another thing for staying up and watching was Salah on Sunday night. Salah didn't start. Salah didn't play at all. And I made a move that I didn't like. I liked at the time. I thought it was a good move. However, it wasn't. And the two other players that I was looking at going to potentially because of Salah going to AFCON soon and thinking, long-term investment, I'll probably go with one of these two. They both scored, and that is Gakpo and Isak. So here is my score for last week. We got 122, which was a great score. 274th of the week. And as you can tell, it was only 11 better than last week, like 11 positions better than last week, which means I've had two back-to-back really, really good weeks. The week before that was pretty good as well. We are up to 311th now, and I was looking earlier. I got out to 2,000, 2,500 around there. So in the last 3 weeks, we've had some really good weeks. Not investing heavily in Arsenal and going to City quite early is paying. It's after one game because this is really where their schedule gets really well. After one game, it's a success compared to Arsenal players. I need a like burp, but it's not coming out, so I apologize. Yeah, so I ended up making two transfers last week, and I didn't, but this was my team. Uh, Congratulations, you won 4-4. I haven't. I'm dead set. Just walked in from work, and I've started this video, so. This was not the team from last week. I had Rogers on the field for Cucurella. That was my team. As you can tell, I brought in Rogers. I was looking at Gakpo and Isak, and they both scored, and that really, really done my head in. I thought Rogers, with his break even situation and against Wolves, that I thought he could do something. I watched him; he was very lazy. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of how he was moving on the pitch and just Wolves were actually decent against Aston Villa. Ended up watching that game a bit, not during Liverpool, after I was watching Liverpool. I did have the last 15 minutes on my phone once, Liverpool were pretty much in control and the game was done. So, yeah, let me just sort the team just so I can. Oh, no, I won't. I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. But yeah, so Donnarumma with 7, Vardiol 11, Van Dijk 10, Eze 5, Bruno 21, Minter 7, Enzo 6, Foden 28, Haaland was the captain 7, Saka 11, Morgan Rogers 2. Saliba didn't play, injured. Arsenal conceded, Chelsea conceded. I did say both of them would score. And a lot of people, I was actually looking at like tipsters and whatnot. A lot of people saying under 2.5 goals, under 3 goals, and that was like, are we looking at the same lineups? Like Arsenal versus Chelsea, as a neutral Liverpool fan, that you guys all know by now. I stayed up and watched that after Liverpool. The first half an hour of that fixture, it had them like I can't even say it because Zubamendi got a yellow after 4 minutes, I think it was. But then there was 4 cards in 12 minutes, and then there was 6 cards within the first 30 minutes. Anthony Taylor absolutely destroyed that game. Like it was for me watching that at the start, I thought, wow, this could be a classic game. Both teams looked on, right? It was like a basketball game, back and forth in the first half, and then Caicedo gets sent off. Yes, it was a red card, but the amount of yellow cards that you were going to give at the start of that game, early on in that game, like if you're not a soccer fan, like you're putting that many cards into a big fixture, possibly the biggest fixture of the season so far, um, barring Liverpool versus Arsenal at that time, and you've given away that many cards, you've destroyed the game. Because any challenge, every player is going to be like, and it just destroyed the game. Caicedo got sent, like I said, was a red card. Um, Cole Palmer was on the bench. I don't think he's going to start probably till next game week, maybe. We shall see. They're doing well enough that they don't have to forcefully bring him in, like rush him back. And I wouldn't if I was Chelsea. I would wait. Um, But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that was the team. Cherky to Foden was obviously a good decision last minute. Yeah, I was initially with Foden. I think in the review of like the week prior's game, I was like, I'll go to Foden. And then by the preview, I was like, I'll go Cherky. So then I was kind of like, whoever's going to start, I'll keep. Maybe like probably in the long run, it's going to end up being beneficial that I've got Foden, considering Cherky's always going to have the possible minutes question mark over him, and it's not great long term in this game considering the trades. I've got 26 trades left, and I wish I didn't. I wish I had more, and I think I've stuffed up a little bit there considering the players I've brought in. Like Foden, yes. Rogers, I didn't need to. I probably could have held Salah or gone to Gakpo or Isak, and they would have been more longer term holds where I'm probably going to get rid of Rogers in a couple of weeks, if not next week. So it's a bit of a pain in the bum, but we're here unless he goes off against Brighton. We shall see. But we'll just quickly go over the fixtures. Brentford won, Burnley won. Tiago, I'll take this here. Tiago with a goal. Um, we had 2 goals, sorry. And Waitara with a goal late. Fleming with a penalty, I think it was, if I remember correctly. Man City. I will go into something with Man City later on, I think. Maybe. Well, maybe in the next week or two. Maybe. I don't know. But Guardiola with the goal, 12 points, ends up on 11, conceded 2, conceded the penalty. Like, that's what I mean. And he should have had 2 other goals, maybe. Like, he's a defender, but he's usually quite clinical for a defender. And he had 2 big chances. So I don't know. It was a bit annoying. But yeah, Man City first half totally controlled that game and they looked fantastic. And I thought, wow, at half time, clean sheet looks good. Guardiola goal, like beautiful. Here we go. You know what I mean? But Enzo Lafay scored 24, scored a nice penalty, had another assist. Adley scored from Evan Nilsson's shot. Adams scored a brilliant goal, very long range goal, great goal. Actually, the furthest goal scored in the Premier League so far this season, caught the keeper way off his line. Robbie with a goal, Traore with a goal. And yeah, it was that would have been a nice game to watch. Everton versus Newcastle. Thior scored twice, didn't he? Yeah, he scored twice. Um, which is quite good for a defender. How much? What's he rate? Oh, he's gone up 2 mil just from last week. But his break even should be nice and high now. Miley with a goal and an assist. Dewsbury Hall another goal. I think it's back to back weeks for Dewsbury Hall with a goal. The initial the initial cash cow is up to 10.5 mil now, which is insane, really. Um, Other notable players, Grealish should be 6.9 mil, getting to a point where you're like, you could reinvest. Harvey Barnes is up to 9.2 mil. So if you got Harvey Barnes 2 weeks ago, or last week, you've made some money and it's probably worth it. Another one else really from that game, Tottenham, Tete with a goal, Wilson with a goal. Wilson had a nice goal from the side. Well, there was no keeper in the box, but he just turned and whacked it into an empty net. Kudus with a goal as well. Bergval assists, King and Chukwueze assists. This guy is enticing me, and like I hate it. I hate it. I hate the fact that he's enticing me. Like they've got a nice run from here, and then they've got a shit run, and then here all the way to the end, their run's pretty good. So they've just got dramas at Tottenham at the moment. So I don't want to invest in anyone there. Crystal Palace versus Man United. Fernandez, Bruno had 2 assists. Mount with a goal. Mateta with a goal. Xerxes with a goal. Xerxes' goal was quite nice. I thought it was a nice finish. Very nice finish. Tight angle. Mount scored a goal off a free kick that Bruno laid off to him. Bruno was pretty much everywhere for these guys. Not directly involved, but he's just quite busy, running around doing what he needs to do. Who else? When I was watching this game, who else did I think was well? Pino, he gets into good positions, but he's just, I don't know. Munoz, a lot of people had Munoz, and he has failed this week. I think it's like the first time at home they've lost in 16 games or something. But yeah, the other main one was Sa. Sa came off injured, so is that him there? Yeah, you can just see him. Sa came off injured during the game and very early too, so monitor that if you're a Sa owner. Aston Villa, like I said, 1-0, boring. Kamara scored, McGinn assist. I don't even want to get into it. I can't stand Villa and the way they play. Like, it's just so boring. Brighton, the Kuiper, Verbruggen, Kedioglu, Dunk, Gomez, Wiffa, Van Hecker. Simas scored a goal off the bench. The Kuiper scored a goal, obviously kept a clean sheet, so good points there. Elliot Anderson, that is defensive contributions mostly. Like, Elliot Anderson, 3 key passes, 3 accurate crosses, 3 successful dribbles, 1 tackle, dispossessed, interception. So no, not exactly defensive contributions. But the guy's involved, and he's always involved for him. Liverpool, West Ham. Yeah, this is another person that I want to talk about soon. So I'll probably have to get into it. There's going to be a bit of a video about it. But I think I'll do another video maybe next week in regards to like say 5 players. This is one of them, Jared Bowen. Look at these fixtures coming up. He's 7.3 mil. Fulham, Brighton, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Sunderland, and that is the busy period. That is the busy period now coming up. Well, it is all busy now from now on. But after that Man City game, I want him. You got Chelsea then Burnley, Man U, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, Man City, Aston Villa, and then you probably hold him there as well if you've got him still. But I doubt it. Great price, great time to invest. So maybe if he fails this week, he's going to be close to the bottom, and you cannot not have him. I think you cannot not have Bowen. I think he's going to be a fantastic buy soon. Joe Gomez with an assist and clean sheet. Gakpo, goal and assist. Kanate, clean sheet. Isak, goal, first goal. Um, yeah, Kirk looked better. McAllister looked a bit lost. Szoboszlai was a bit out of position. Verts looked very good without Salah. Verts looked fantastic, actually. He probably should have scored. He was the best player on the pitch by a mile. So it was a bit average seeing him get that. He'd be worth nothing now. 3.9. 3.9. Wow. If Salah's not playing, oh, that could be the guy then. At that price, that could be the guy. when Salah's gone. Chelsea Arsenal, as I said, I pretty much went over this game already. Uh, Chalobah goal, Reece James assist, Marino goal, Saka assist. Rice is just plodding along, getting good base points essentially. Did he lose money this week? He did. He lost 800,000. Another week of that would be fantastic, and then maybe I can invest. Fernandez, one of my boys, he's doing well. I think, and now the fact that Caicedo is, he will keep that advanced role. I think possibly. If not, then the lap up top, João Pedro in behind, and then he might be forcefully drawn back a bit. Who knows? Because I don't know the situation with Lavia. I think he's injured, so then that might make Enzo have to shift back actually, which would be shit. But yeah, no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Hincapié started. Hincapié. That's what they were saying. Hincapié. I thought it was Hincapi. Hincapié. Hincapié. Started with Mosquera, no Gabriel or Saliba, and if they both do not start, that's not a bad price. Neither is that, to be honest. We're both not bad prices, I must admit. Hmm. Um, yeah, if Saliba and Gabriel are both out for a substantial amount of time, then I would assume that Arsenal will concede goals. I thought Chelsea looked quite good. They definitely look like a title contending team, if you ask me, especially going down to 10 men so early. Arguably, they should have won the game. So the problem is if Chelsea is investing in the forward lines, I think we've got a kind of, a good understanding on who's their best team at the moment. The Garnacho Gittins situation, probably not as good as with Esteval, and they've been playing Pedro Neto up top. So that forward line is probably someone I don't want to invest in, and I think over the years so far I haven't invested in anyone from the forward line. No Pedro, no Delap, no Esteval, no Neto, and I went with Fernandez, and I wanted to go Fernandez or Caicedo just because they're more solidified out of them. Because as soon as Palmer went down, it was like okay, grab one of them. So yeah, that's pretty much all the games from the week. Overall, the situation with the rankings, we've got Geordie's still up front, leading the charge. Made a bit of a bigger lead. Yeah, 3 point bigger lead. So he's travelling well. I am in 311th, and I just want to see how many points. I know, who am I? So the top 100 is 1457, and I'm like 1518 or something. So 1518, I believe. 1418, sorry, not 15. You know what I mean, anyways. But anyways, possible transfers. I truly think there is no point doing a transfer this week. Personally, I look at that team and I'm like, fixtures are quite well. I need to save some trades anyways. I am not going to trade anyone. The only possibility is, and hopefully the decision is a lot easier for me, is if I've got the vice captain on Haaland and the captaincy on Saka. Because if I needs to, loop the Haaland vice, then I've got to bring in someone for Dorgu. And I just feel like that's just shit. So I hope Haaland doesn't go off. I'm going to vice him, and hopefully he doesn't go off. Sorry, something's wrong with my bloody mouth. Can't breathe today. Got the hiccups, got the freaking burps or whatever. Um, I'd like Haaland to not go off, and I hope a lot of people captain him. If I'm being honest with you, just straight out captain. I hope he doesn't go off, and then I don't need to bring in anyone for Dorgu essentially, and then use a loop. So that would be nice. But that's the situation for this week. I'm quite happy with my team moving forward for the next couple of weeks. I think, and I want to save some trades. Rogers is the one that's likely to leave this squad first, and he will probably become one of the Liverpool players because I think Liverpool will turn it around. Like I've been saying for a while, I think Liverpool will turn it around, and I think I love Salah, but I think we need to play him less. And it's sad. It's so sad because I do think he's lost his legs a little bit. And I've said he's not the same player that he was. And usually, when he's been benched by Klopp or Slot in the past, he absolutely fires for the next couple of weeks. So I'm worried about that. That's the only thing, really. And the fixtures are quite good in the next couple of weeks. So there's every possibility. I just think the for the future, the Isak Verts combination going forward, they looked more fluid up front. Not fluid, but like Isak looked more comfortable on the weekend than he has ever played with Salah. There's more crosses in the box by Gomez. There's more, advanced passes from Verts and all that. So it's something I would like to see moving forward. If I must, look at players for the week, the situations from some players, going forward. If you want a bit of a money grab, you can go Lewis Miley. However, I would stay away because I don't know the situation with Newcastle. I wouldn't say stay away, but he doesn't play that, like he hasn't played often enough for me. Like he's played in the 9 games, but he's not look. You can see his total points for the season are 49, and he scored 23 this week. Like that's, uh, he's averaging 41 minutes a game. It's not ideal, but it is the situation. Joe Gomez can hold that right back position. If you want a cheapie and you want to go to a Liverpool defender, that's going to go up. However, Van Dijk is only 5 million. So if I'm, you know, looking to buy a Liverpool defender because they've got a good amount of fixtures coming up, I would be looking at Van Dijk over Joe Gomez because he's only a little bit more expensive. Uh, Lewis Hall is someone that I've wanted to bring in. I think uh, he he's someone that I would probably go to. Oh, it's difficult because with Lewis Hall, if I know he's always playing because he's not been playing that many minutes. If I know he's always playing, I'd probably he'd be one of the first players I pick in his team because he's like a Munoz like, right? That's his type of style as a left back. But the other one is Dan Burn, right underneath him at that price. Dan Burn is a bit of a defensive contribution gun. He's very similar, like Van Dijk, with the headers and the clearances and all that stuff. So I wouldn't shy away from promoting to get Dan Burn or Lewis Hall. But like I said, Lewis Hall, it's the minutes. That's the only problem. Nico O'Reilly, he's a midfielder in the game, and like it just does my head in. Like he's a left back. Like yes, he got an assist. It was a lucky assist on the weekend. Um, But yeah, I wouldn't rush to get Nico O'Reilly. However, he will be one of the players that I think is going to benefit from AFCON more than others. So who knows? Um, who else? Who else? Who else? I'm just trying to go through the list. Voltamato at that price is a great price. Elliot Anderson's a great player. I've always got time for Elliot Anderson. Um, Diego Gomez has gone up to 9, so he's gone up 5 mil. Jesus, done well. Nathan Collins had 11 base points last week as a defender, which is pretty good. What else? What else have we got here, guys? Yeah, all right. Anyway, let's go over the games for this weekend, and I'll give you my thoughts on who I think we should play, captain, do all that rubbish. All right, Bournemouth, Everton, Bournemouth at home. I think they get the job done. If you've got Semenyo, I actually think Semenyo's not a bad buy. I know they've got some difficult fixtures coming up, but I think his price is going down and down and down and down, and I think he's going to be a pretty good buy. Man City will struggle against Fulham, I think. I think they will have some issues. Haaland is going up against like Anderson, Tete, and that, and all that, and I think he might struggle a little bit just because they're so physical. I think they can grab a hold of him. And Man City, I think, are just in that mood of just not, you know, not needing Haaland all the time. You can sometimes see the way they play. They'll deliver more crosses or whatnot. The crosses were pathetic on the weekend. Um, but Foden saved the day for him. Newcastle against Tottenham. Newcastle, I think, will beat Tottenham at home. Arsenal by how many against Brentford? Brighton, Aston Villa. I'll go Brighton at home. Brighton's quite well. Palace versus Burnley. I think Burnley or draw, I wouldn't be surprised. Crystal Palace looked terrible in that second half against Man U. They seemingly died in the bum because of the midweek game in Europe, or not even midweek. It was a Friday game. So the second half they really died out, and now they got another game in the space of a couple of days. So I don't think it's ideal for them. Wolves, the way Wolves have played the last two games, I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves beat Nottingham Forest. Genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised. Leeds at home against Chelsea. I reckon Leeds might score. I genuinely think Leeds might score because it's at home. Against Chelsea, I don't think that's a crazy thing to think. Liverpool Sunderland, $1.32 Liverpool. Jesus, I know we're at home, but might be a bit of a I don't know. That's a bit crazy if you ask me. Man U versus West Ham. I think Man U get it done. Depends on if my boy Cunha is back. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The review and the preview. I don't think there's much to give you a preview on, considering we're only a couple of days out from the last game week, or one day out from that last game week, and we start again tomorrow morning. Do not forget, do your teams. So what are the main key things to take out of this? I know. I reckon my key stuff has been quite nailed on for the last bloody God knows how long. But I did say Chelsea, Arsenal, do not play the defenders, and bar Reece James, he got the assist, but and Charlotte, oh fuck, damn it, I got that one wrong then. I got it mostly right because most people had the Arsenal defender. So, um, yeah, I don't know. The thing I would say this week is vice captain Haaland if you can. If you've got a loop that plays later, vice captain Haaland if you can. Um, moves. Dan Burn, Lewis Hall, Szoboszlai is a move I think you can do. I wouldn't be afraid to make the move to Verts as well. They're probably the key players from this game week, like just for price wise and moving forward. There's not really a lot to do. Honestly, there's genuinely not really a lot to buy into or sell. I wouldn't make too many moves, and I think I'd just roll the team into this week. Hopefully, as long as Haaland doesn't perform. If he doesn't perform, that's great. But probably will. So let's see. Enjoy. You're probably all watching this video tonight, later tonight, in bed on the TV or whatever it is. But I need to do paperwork. I literally just got home as I've recorded this, like just before I recorded this. It's 8 o'clock now, and I need to get some sleep eventually tonight because I need to wake up and go to work. So take care, enjoy your night, and I'll speak to you later in the week.